live. So, okay, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. What's that question that Brother Joe had?
Well, let me look it up again because I got spacing off in fantasy land there for a second. Dreaming of my dreams of a united Republican Party charging forth against the Huns on the hill called the Democratic Party. Anyway.
Oh, no. Yeah. You guys are the Huns. We're the Bolsheviks.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. See, that's why I need you, my man. Joe's comment, it's really a comment, but I think we can phrase it as a question. Could
Cossacks. Sorry, we're Cossacks.
Could we, all the left has to do is copy that laugh.
Horse people.
Copy that laugh and then just play it. Is this the guy you want leading anybody? Anyway, Joe's comment is they lack a bench because they have gone so far left. Do you think that's true?
No.
That they've gone so far left that they're driving out good talent?
No, because the Democratic Party hasn't really gone left hardly at all. I mean, the Democratic Party has embraced free trade. The Democratic Party has sort of like given up its long historical support for labor unions. The Democratic Party has sort of just paid lip service to environmental issues. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Democratic Party. Here's what I would say. This explanation is going to take forever. I'll try and distill it down.
Should I get out my blanket and my pillow and take a little nap?
Maybe. Because, well, no, I think you're gonna find it interesting because what different kinds of writers and thinkers have been talking about for the last several years, and trying to explain the different kinds of the different shifts that they're seeing in economic power and political power and sort of what appears to be the rising east and the kind of waning west and how those things are going, and especially in trying to determine what to do about radical Islamic terrorism. They, especially Jonathan Sacks, former head rabbi in England, says, "Hey, look, the last several decades have seen the West basically give up identity." Just as a thing that we've given up identity for consumerism, or we have dissociated ourselves from our old national identities. We've dissociated ourselves from our religious identities. We've just dissociated ourselves from all of the old kinds of identities that used to give us some kind of stability or something in common with other people. And while I don't agree with all of that wholesale, I think that what you're seeing, especially in Europe, I mean, Europe hasn't been under and I use this word very loosely, under the threat of far-right political parties in 70, 80 years. I mean, Europe took a hard left turn and had been for a long time, and now we're seeing it because what I think the left has done in Europe, but also in a little bit in the United States, is that they've given up those things that used to make them, to differentiate them from the more conservative or the Republican parties, or the Republican Party here in this country, is that you don't have the left can no longer, the Democrats, you hear them complain about this all the time, but the Democrats can no longer call themselves the party of working people. They're the party of professionals, ethnic and racial minorities, and women. And I've said this on the show probably 8 times at this point in the last 2 weeks. What I mean? In the last month and a half.
We haven't been on in the last 2 weeks.
In the last month and a half is that the base of the Democratic Party, the old base of the Democratic Party, is not looking here saying your policies are too far left or whatever. It's saying we don't know what your policies are, man. And there are policies that are probably too liberal for a lot of folks. And that's, you have those debates and you win a lot of platform, and that's how it works. But what I can very strongly argue is that you don't have the kinds of folks voting Democratic now that were voting Democratic even 10 years ago. We lost blue dog Democrats a long time ago. They didn't all come back. And now we're seeing a shift away from the organized manufacturing base that we used to have. The reason I became a Democrat is that my dad, I once asked, my dad was in the teachers union, was an active guy as a school teacher for a long time. And he was a Democrat. And I was like 12, 13 years old. It was right around the time when, this is 10, it was right around the time Bill was running. And my dad loved Bill Clinton. And I said, Dad, what's the difference? Because it's a Democrat and a Republican. Why are you a Democrat? Why are we Democrats? Because I was a Democrat. And my dad said, rightly or wrongly, he said, Blake, Democrats care about poor people and Republicans care about rich people. And it's more important to care about poor people. That is no longer the identity, the central identity of the Democratic Party. Rising incomes in the Democratic Party and fundraising have made Democrats the party of the professional class. Almost anybody with a college education at this point, not to call other people dumb, but just college educated or higher, are voting Democratic at this point. University professors, doctors, lawyers, it's the media are full with a bunch of liberals. And we have not figured out a way to bring along the folks that built us, the labor unions and the working folks built the Democratic Party in this country. So no, I don't think it's because we're too liberal. I think it's I think that they don't trust us. We don't have a message. We're not coherent.
Mm. All right, so actually that was my next question is, geez, what happened to you guys' message? I mean, what eroded it? Was it the overwhelming, Obama victory in 2008, no. Or was it sliding before then?
It was. I think it was probably sliding before that. I think that you've seen a lot of reaction from the Obama administration in the country. I think some of it is racial. I don't think all of it, but I think there's a portion of people, not giving them a partisan cast, but I think there's a portion of people in this country that reacted in a racially negative way to a black president. And I think there's a portion of the electorate that reacted in a negative way towards Hillary because she's a woman. I think those are realities. I don't think that that's the central thing. I'm not saying that people are racist or sexist or whatever. I also think that...
so essentially what you're saying is race did play a part in this.
Yeah, played a part.
Like it always does.
Yeah.
And you're not specifically saying that Republicans are racist.
They're racist Democrats. There are.
Great, because that was the point I was going to make.
I'm not running away from that.
I was actually going to tell a story about that, but
there are. Because racism and sexism don't know a political party. But what I would go on to say is I think that the support was eroding for a long time because, and you're going to love this, Doc, the Democrats have been playing identity politics for so long that eventually the people, they ran out of identities to castigate. And they started it turned into a firing squad. You cannot. So here's what folks who feel left behind by the Democratic Party. You heard what's his name? Tom, somebody ran for Senate against Patty Judge. Tom, I can't remember his last name. Anyway, he tells this really dumb story about going into rural Iowa and northeast Iowa where there's Democrats still live and the farms up there. And this farmer just laying into him about Democrats betraying them and stuff. Democrat used to be the party of working folks and farmers and laborers, and you just bailed. You just completely bailed on us. And what I think that speaks to is this frustration that, and I hear it all the time from people. It's not true. It's not based in reality, but it's the perception that the Democratic Party cares more about poor people of color than it does about anybody else. It's not true. Most of the people that benefit from liberal and democratic programs are white folks. However, they're not the people that are being talked about all the time. They're not the folks that you're not going into rural Kentucky or the mountains of West Virginia visiting rundown schools there. You're not addressing the heroin problem in Iowa and Maine. You don't see Democrats acting, and you don't see Republicans doing that either, by the way, but you don't see Democrats doing it. The disconnect is the Democratic Party has been the party of the politicians that want to fix that kind of stuff. That's been what the identity we've tried to use, and we've lost it. We've stopped talking about that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and to go back to your point, I think there's been the Democratic leadership would spend a lot of time, like you said, trying to find the next identity to castigate. So, and you know, and this is one of the reasons I love Lefty. He'll tell it the truth. He'll tell it the way it is as good as he can, and you have to respect the guy's opinion. We're going to be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. After this break, we're going to continue our discussion about Donald Trump. He's coming to town on Thursday for a big announcement, and we couldn't do what we do without you. We'll be back right after this break.